You know what? I think I published this video way too late. I mean, it's like I think 2 days before the fight, but you do fine. Anyway, let's open the video. So, 0 for 7. That is a former UFC welterweight champion. A man who built an entire career on wrestling, on chain wrestling. A man who took the belt of Leon Edwards by wrestling. Shooting 7 times at Ian Garry and getting absolutely nothing. 7 attempts, 0 takedowns, 0 strikes landed on the ground the whole night. That's really impressive from Garry. And that's not even the good one. Because 11 months before that, the best grappler in this division, a man who was 18-0 with a 100% finish rate, who had never heard a final bell in his life, tried it 10 times, he got 2 takedowns. Everybody this week is telling you Islam Makhachev is going to put Ian Garry on the canvas and hold him there for 25 minutes like he did with GDM. Well, I've got 2 fights on tape that say that lads have tried that already and didn't go how you think. So, first, let's be honest about the size of it first, because I'm not going to insult you. So, we're talking about Xfinity Mobile Arena, Saturday the 15th, Philadelphia UFC 330. Islam Makhachev, we've got 28-1, 16 straight wins inside the UFC. That's level with Anderson Silva for the longest streak in the history of the company. Nobody's owned that record alone since 2012. One more Saturday, and it's his. He has 4 defenses of the lightweight belt. Then he moved up to 170, walking to Madison Square Garden, and took the welterweight title of Jack Della Maddalena without dropping a single round. 50-45 on all 3 cards. 19 minutes of control time, 4 takedowns from 4 attempts. That was really a very, very boring fight. He's lost once, ever. A flash knockout in 2015, his second UFC fight. He was 23 years old. That was like 11 years ago. Half the people watching this were in primary school. Across from him, we've got Ian the Cuck Machado Garry. 17-1, 28 years old. Never been finished in the UFC. 1 loss, and we're going to spend a lot of time on that loss because the most important fight on either man's record. The lines are out -340 plus 270. And look, nobody's picking Garry. The lads saying, oh, it'll be competitive, are picking Islam. And part of this is hate because, I mean, after all, it's Garry. And all the lads that, praise Garry's length and praise how, he's a striker, and he's still, they're still going to pick Islam. I'm picking Ian Machado Garry. It's got nothing to do with him being tall. Before anyone types it, alright, let's get this out of the road in the first 3 minutes, because I know exactly what the comments are going to say. Ian Garry is a hard man to root for. I know that, I'm not blind. The media tool for this fight has been rough. Brandon Shakub, I'm sorry if I pronounced it incorrectly, recruited some of the worst interviewing he's ever seen of a top fighter. Garry's out there telling everyone he's already picked who he's calling for after he wins the belt. He hasn't won yet. His own brother got into the comments of our podcast and telling him publicly to knock out playing the victim. We're not going to get into that though. He's been doing the McGregor thing for 5 years. 5 years without actually being McGregor. So I understand completely why people can stand him. And I'm not going to pretend otherwise just to make my pick sound better. But here's what I think people, mix together. Because likable and good are 2 different separate skills. Nobody could stand Colby Covington, and he fought for that belt 3 times. Half the sport hated Chael Sonnen, and he nearly beat the greatest middleweight to ever live. You don't get to a UFC title fight at 28 years of age with 17 wins on your record by being nice to people. So, just want to make this clear. Now, here's my whole argument in 1 sentence. So, the 2 best grapplers in this division have already tried to hold Ian Garry down, and neither of them could do it for it to matter. Now, that's not really, that's on tape. I mean, twice. Let's go through it. So, first, we've got Shavkat Rakhmonov. He's 18-0 at the time. 100% finishing rate, 8 knockouts, 10 submissions. Not one man in his entire career has ever heard the final horn with it. Not one. Garry took that fight on 11 days' notice when Belal pulled out with a bone infection in his toe against the scariest man at 170. 5 rounds in a number 1 contender fight. Shavkat shot 10 times, and he only landed 2, both in the 4th round and in the 5th. A man with 10 UFC submissions, who had never lost a round of grappling to anybody, nearly got choked out by Ian Garry in the 5th round. Twice. Garry had his back. Final scores 48-47, 48-47, and 48-47. 3 times. He lost. I'm not going to sit here and pretend he won. No, he lost. But he became the first human being to survive Shavkat Rakhmonov. And he did it on 11 days' notice against a man who has already tapped him in sparring. Which Garry admitted, by the way, out loud on cameras before the fight. Which takes a set of stones I'm not sure most of us have got. And then we've got Belal Muhammad. Now, that one nobody talks about. And it happened 1 week after Islam won the welterweight belt. Belal Muhammad, former champion, his whole game is grappling, pressure, chain wrestling, drag you to the fence, make it horrible. It's how he beat Leon Edwards for the title. 0 for 7. 3.5 minutes of control across 15. 0 ground strikes landed. 0. Meanwhile, Garry chopped his league leg to bits and actually dropped the former world champion with a calf kick. 30-27, 30-27, 39-28. And then Garry grabbed the mic and said straight down the barrel. It's on the barrel that Belal couldn't take me down. So Islam, you try and make me down. So 2 from 17. From the 2 best wrestlers in his weight class. That's not his toll, that's a ledger. Now here's what made me think and flipped me from it's going to be an interesting fight to I think he wins. It didn't come from Garry's camp. It came from the other corner. Sean O'Malley went on record saying Khabib Nurmagomedov, Islam's coach, the man who built him, the man who'll be stood on the apron on the night, said Ian's a hard matchup for us. Now that's second hand. O'Malley's saying Khabib said take it for exactly what it's worth and no more, but I'll tell you what, I've watched that corner for 10 years, and I've never once heard them say a fella was a hard matchup. Not for Volkanovski, not for Oliveira, not for Poirier, not for Gaethje. It's not just him, you know, it's Carlos Prates, okay? A man Garry beat, who has every reason to be bitter, came out this week and said Ian Garry is going to beat Makhachev by decision. O'Malley's on it, Connor's on it, but Connor's Irish, so that one's free. Meanwhile, look at how Islam's selling this. He called it the AliExpress version of Khabib versus Conor because Gary's an Irishman and Islam is obviously from Dagestan. He's saying we will make him humble. He's talking about the crowd being on his side because nobody likes the other fella. That's not really a man that's breaking down the matchup. I think that's a man talking about personality. Now, I don't really think it means anything on its own because fighters talk shit. That's the job, but it's a strange week to be selling fight unlikability when you've got the longest win streak in company history sat on the table. Right, now, the obvious one back, where you're going to say, like, mate, he just mauled the welterweight champion, 19 minutes of control, 4 for 4. Yeah, but watch how. So, every single one of those takedowns came off Jack walking forward. That's not a dig in Jack, yeah? It's who it is. He's a pressure boxer. His whole thing is closing the gap and hurting you in the phone box. It's how he beat Gilbert Burns, how he beat Belal. It's a brilliant style and made him champion of the world. But against a Dagestani, walking forward isn't a game plan, it's a fucking delivery service. You're bringing your hips to him. The thing is that Ian Garry does not work forward. Garry gives ground. He circles, he jabs, and he's gone. He kicks the calf and he's gone. His entire style is being somewhere you were about half a second ago. And he's also a judo black belt with a boxing base who fights at the very end of his range. And then isn't there. And this is the actual point about the size. So listen to this rather than tape measure stuff everybody's shouting. A takedown on a man moving backwards at long range is a completely different shot to a takedown on a man working into you. It's slower, it's telegraph, it's long trip. And at the end of that longer trip, there's a 6'3" frame and a judo black belt waiting to sprawl on you. That's why the height matters, not because tall beats short. Ask Jack how that went. It matters because it makes an already bad entry takes a fraction longer, and a fraction is all a sprawl need. Islam didn't outsize Jack Della Maddalena, he outstyled him. Jack agreed to fight Islam fights, and everybody on the streak eventually agreed to fight Islam's fight. Ian Garry's whole personality is him refusing to do so. But as I do in every video, let me argue against myself, because I'd rather be right than clever. 1. Shavkat got him down twice, and when he did, he held him, landed ground and pound, and banked the round. So, the wall isn't a wall, it's a door that opens sometimes. Islam only needs it to open once, a round, for 25 minutes. 2. Islam is just a better wrestler than Shavkat. He just is. It's a different sport. If Shavkat could find those hips on 11 days' notice, a fully camped Makhachev with Khabib in his ear can find them too. 3. And this is one that keeps me honest, Belal is not Islam. Belal's takedown game got stuffed by Jack Della Maddalena as well, 3 from 9. that fight. And then Jack went on and got dumped 4 times from 4 by Islam. So his stopped Belal is worth something, right? Because Belal is a legitimate wrestler, but it's not worth as much for the comments will want it to be. And 4, he lost to Shavkat. Let's not rewrite it. He lost. So the honest version wouldn't be Garry cannot be taken down. He can, he has been. Is that nobody has ever managed to take him down enough for long enough to actually take a fight of him. And every single man who's tried was coming forward into a fella who was going backwards. That's a pattern. It doesn't guarantee me anything. It just means for the first time in about a decade, I can see the door. Right, everything up there is what's on tape. This part is just for me and my prediction. I'm going with Garry by decision. It's going to be 48, 47, maybe 49, 46 if the back half goes his way. And I want to be that clear about what I'm not saying. I'm not saying Garry runs him over. I'm not saying Islam's overrated. The man's a top 10 fighter of all time. And he's a pound for pound #1 fighter. And I'll say that on camera, on the record, in this video. I'm not predicting the highlight. There's no head kick coming. And I still think Garry needs to shut his mouth for about 6 months. 10 minutes of tape hasn't changed it either. But I've never once seen a fella's personality sprawl on the single leg, just saying. I'm predicting the most boring version of an upset there is. 25 minutes of a tall Irishman not being where he's meant to be. A jab, a circle, a calf kick, a sprawl, a shrug, round after round of nothing much happening. And nothing much happening being enough. Because here's what 16 fight actually tells me. Every man on that list eventually agreed to fight Islam's fight. Some took 4 rounds to agree, some took 4 minutes, but they all agree in the end. Garry's best skill isn't his jab, it's his no. He spent his whole career being awkward, difficult, annoying. The fella nobody enjoys sharing a cage with. And half the time nobody enjoys watching either. That's not a highlight reel, that's a style, and Saturday needs this exact style. And the last thing, everyone wants this to be Ireland versus Dagestan Part 2. The UFC selling it that way. Garry's leaning into it, and I get why. The last time an Irishman walked into that cage against that camp with a belt on the line, it ended up in a riot, and it's still the darkest night the sport had. But I don't think this is that at all, and I don't want it to be. That fight was about hate. This one's about a lad who got beaten by the best grappler in his division. Went away, fixed it, came back and stuffed a former champion 7 times out of 7. It's not grudge, that's just martial arts. Someone found a hole in your game and you went and filled it. I think Saturday it holds. 2 for 17. That's what the 2 best wrestlers at 170 pound managed against Ian Garry across 40 minutes of trying. Islam Makhachev is better than both of them. I know, I'm not thick. But everybody's telling you this is just stupid. That he walked through the Irishman in the same way he walked through Jack. While the actual tape says the last 2 men who went looking for those hips came away with sword and all that lot of question. Tell me I'm wrong. Seriously, I want all those wrestling nerds in the comments on this one. Because if I'm wrong, I'll be here Sunday saying so. I'll be here really, overviewing the fight. So, that's it. Thank you guys for the video. Shortly, I think like in a couple of days, I'll release another video regarding Tom Aspinall and Cyril Garner. Got plenty of things to say about these lads. I hope you guys are having a great summer. Love you guys, and I'll see you later. Cheers.